Hello, this is Rogers Redding. I want to welcome you again to another of our media videos. This is number 3 in the series for 2015. Again, this time we have a few plays that illustrate some of the rules of the game, and I think you'll find these interesting, some unusual rules that don't come into play very often. So I hope you're enjoying these videos. We continue to get a lot of good feedback on these, and we'll continue to produce these every couple of weeks or so throughout the season. On this play, there are a lot of things going on, and it looks like it's complicated, but it's actually a fairly simple result. You can see that the ball is snapped over the punter's head and into the end zone. He recovers the ball in the end zone, kicks it, comes out into the field of play, and in the scramble, the ball is forced back into the end zone and over the end line out of bounds. This results in a safety. The rule is that the impetus for the ball being in the end zone belongs to the kicking team, and whether or not it's a safety depends upon who put the ball in the end zone. Even though there's a scramble and the ball is forced back into the end zone from the field of play, and even though there's contact with the ball by the opponent, none of this is deliberately a batting or kicking, and so the responsibility still lies with the kicking team. And so since the ball became dead by rolling out of the end zone over the end line, this results in a safety. A few years ago, the Rules Committee outlawed the 3-man wedge by the receiving team on the kickoff. We don't see this very much anymore, but here's a play that I thought you might like to see because this is one of the few times that you'll see a wedge. You can see that at about the 10-yard line, there are 3 receiving team players that get effectively shoulder to shoulder and then come out to block for the returner. This is ruled a non-contact live ball foul, and it's enforced at the spot of the foul. So you can see when the ball is set up for the first play from scrimmage, it's at about the 5-yard line. So in this case, the penalty was half the distance of the goal from where the wedge was formed. Here's a play that illustrates a possible 10-second runoff. Notice the quarter and the time. It's in the second quarter inside a minute of the half. So this is the time when 10-second runoffs are possible. We have an injured player on this play, but we also have a first down, so we have 2 reasons for stopping the clock: the injury and the first down. If the injury were the only reason for stopping the clock, this would be eligible for a 10-second runoff. But because we also stopped the clock due to the first down, there is no possibility for a 10-second runoff. This next play shows a nice example of offensive pass interference. You'll see that we've circled the tackle on this play. Don't pay any attention to that, that's for another reason. This tackle lined up in the backfield, so we should have had a flag for illegal formation for having 5 players in the backfield. But you can see that the 3 receivers lined up to the right side. The middle receiver goes out and throws a block on a defender, and then the other receiver cuts off that block to catch the pass. So this is offensive pass interference because the offensive team player initiated the contact against the defensive back. This is a good call for violation of the rule for offensive pass interference.
Pass interference, offense, 15-yard penalty, means third down.
On this next play, we have a foul for illegal contact against a snapper. If a team is lined up to punt or to kick a field goal or kick an extra point, the defensive team may not contact the snapper until 1 full second after the ball has been snapped. The theory is he's in a vulnerable position, he's got his head down, and he must have time to come up and defend himself. So the rule is that there must be 1 full second pass before the defense can make any contact against the snapper.
Personal foul. Roughing the snapper. Defense number 90. Half the distance to the goal. Automatic first down.
Here's a good illustration of what a defensive back can do to legally separate a receiver from the ball. We hear a lot about the targeting fouls. We continue to have problems with having targeting fouls in our games. But here's a situation where a perfectly legal hit on a receiver separates him from the ball, and this is exactly the way we want it to happen. You can see that the defensive player takes his head out of the way, hits low enough so that his strike zone is below the head and neck area. This is a good hard football play, but he avoids going high and he avoids using the crown of the helmet, so the play is much less dangerous to him because he doesn't use the crown of the helmet, and it's much less dangerous to the receiver because he doesn't hit the receiver in the head and neck area. So this is good football, it's a good hard tackle, but at the same time perfectly legal and the kind of play we'd like to see every defensive back make. This last play illustrates a new enforcement rule this year. In the scrum for the ball, you can see that number 45 in the white grabs an opponent and slings him off the pile and draws a flag. Now, this has always been a personal foul, but this year it is also an unsportsmanlike conduct foul. And the reason that's important is because if a player gets 2 unsportsmanlike conduct fouls in a game, then the second one automatically disqualifies him. So that's a change not in the rule in terms of the way the game is played, but in terms of the way the penalty is enforced, as now as an unsportsmanlike conduct foul, counting as one of the 2 toward automatic disqualification. Well, that's it for this video. I want to thank you again for watching. Thank you for your interest in these videos, and we'll be back again with a few highlights in a couple of weeks.